So you mentioned salt water, and I know obviously with like bridges and anything like that. I mean, salt I would imagine is a pretty big issue in the thermal spray industry. How do you guys kind of combat that? I feel like that's is it. I mean, it's not like there's not one answer, right? I mean, like I would imagine that problem would keep arising.
It does, and let's use the bridge example, or the salt's used heavily on roads.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, then that will, if you have a bridge, you got salt on the road, and that gets down on the girders and the I-beams. So one of the things that's used is zinc. So you can hot dip galvanize components for a bridge. Hot dip galvanizing is simply taking the metal component and putting in a molten bath of zinc. And it's multiple steps.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a step where they have to strip it, and a step where they activate the surface, and then they put it in the zinc. Whereas we can do the same thing with thermal spray, where we would grit blast that bridge component and clean it up and activate the surface, get rid of the dirt, and create a textured surface that the zinc will adhere to, and then we can spray the zinc on there. So that's one example. The other one I talked about there was the salt water in the mine. Well, that's a severe application there, and they're using some exotic materials there. We can also sometimes use other materials. So, for example, that same salt mine might decide to use a chrome oxide, which is a ceramic, to protect that shaft. Ceramic is impervious to things like salt water and acids and things like that. So that's often a choice of using that ceramic. The reason that works so well with thermal spray is you can put this thin layer of this chrome oxide ceramic on top of metal. So you've got a thin protective coating that's got some flexibility, and then you have it on a ductile, strong shaft for the strength of the pump shaft.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's interesting to try to figure out. I mean, obviously, that's something that I think anybody can relate to is salt is all over the place. I mean, it's used in so many different places, and it obviously in coastal areas, the oceans and bridges and stuff like that. It's probably one of the bigger issues that you kind of handle in the thermal spray industry.
It certainly is a leading one. We get calls all the time for corrosion protection. And you're right, handrails, like you don't think about it, but a hotel or a fancy house on the coastline has that salt water all the time. So oftentimes the wrought iron that they make the decorative railings out of and the outdoor staircases, they want to spray that with zinc before they put a paint on it. So once you spray it with the zinc, you can put epoxy paints and regular paints on top of that, and the zinc acts like a primer. So you get some really nice finishes and you get some long life out of it. So if anything struck your interest and you're interested in more information, give us a call, 724-229-5791, or drop us a line at info@thermalspraydepot.com.